The declaration tackles a myriad of pressing issues with inclusive economic growth, industrialization, employment and reduced inequality high up in the pecking order. Labour Federation COSATU has welcomed the declaration, especially as it relates to these matters.
South Africa's G20 themes of solidarity is important. There must be solidarity between the rich and the poor, between the developed world, the developing South. It speaks to inequality. Well, South Africa doesn't need any lessons about the dangers of inequality and why it's fundamental to address it as opposed to ignore it. And of course, in an era of climate change, which threatens not just lives, health and so forth and livelihoods, threatens the entire economy across value chains.
The declaration said it would be working on some of the recommendations that came out of the high-level Extraordinary Committee of Independent Experts on Global Inequality, as well as the African Expert Panel report, which focused on the issue of debt and the high cost of capital. Civil society body, the Institute for Economic Justice, welcomed this.
Both reports speak to one of the first priorities of the presidency this year, which is the debt crisis, and especially the debt crisis that Africa is facing, whereby more than 34 African countries are in high debt distress and are spending more on servicing debt than they are on health and education. That is more than 750 million people on this continent live in countries where they are not defaulting on their debt per se, but they are defaulting on the development of their countries.
One analyst welcomed the fact that one of the G20 resolutions was to look at fairer exchange rate policies, as this will have an impactful bearing on a number of African countries.
For context purposes, why I'm actually welcoming this commitment around reforms around the exchange to ensure that the exchange rate policies are actually more aligned with economic fundamentals is because most or almost all African countries in the main borrow their debt using foreign currencies. So, then if those exchange rates now are not favorable, then it means that those African countries then will be at disadvantage.
The G20 resolved to accelerate moves to triple renewable energy capacity and in turn doubling energy efficiency by 2030, which has been welcomed by experts in the field.
For us in South Africa, specifically, what that looks like is even more funding that's available to us to roll out solar farms and wind farms. And I myself am involved in the solar farm side of the energy sector. And this has already been seen practically in terms of actual figures that have been written down, where the European Union has allocated 15.1 billion euros to Africa for renewable energy projects. And South Africa being one of the, we are the most industrialized nation in Africa, we'll be a recipient of a large portion of those euros that have been allocated for renewable energy, as we are seen as one of the countries that needs the most help to transition away from our coal-dependent energy sector towards renewable energy.
The summit is therefore closed.
President Cyril Ramaphosa closed off the two-day meeting, reiterating a message of partnership and unity in tackling global challenges. Nampumela Losiziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.